Good. One point, David Boyce is not here tonight. He is in Rochester at his son's master's degree recital. David's son Matthew is a world-class bassoonist and is like weeks away or maybe a week away from graduating with a master's degree. And David and Jen are out there at the recital. So we wish them well, and David promised to bring back a recording of Matthew's recital so we can post it on the internet. Minutes from the January town board meeting. Any questions or comments? Monica, those were awesome minutes. All 31 pages.
I'm gonna start charging that page.
Any questions or comments about the minutes? If not, could I get a motion to approve them as presented, please? Amy, thank you.
Okay.
Second, Keith, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. The next 3 points, the committee for respectful behavior, the investigation of the complaints received related to Jack Lindsay's conversation and comments last month, and a discussion of the membership on the committee for respectful behavior are all part and parcel of the efforts that I think we are going through now to see how we can deal with effectively the issues that Jack raised last month. We are at the beginning stages of an investigation. We've retained an attorney from the law firm in Albany of Inman Stroud, who is interviewing people who are directly related to the issues that were raised. She has talked to 12 people so far and expects to talk to another 6 to 10 before this is all done. We're anticipating her report will be available probably before the April meeting, but not before the March meeting. And I think, personal point of view, while we should discuss a lot of the options we have for dealing with these issues, we should not make any final decisions until we see the final report and understand the full extent of what the attorney has found from the folks who are closest to this. With that as an introduction, I'd like to open up the issue of how to deal with this to the board and ask who would like to comment on what they've been thinking about or doing over the past month. Amy.
I can make some comments. Yeah, first, let me acknowledge that as a town board, we're taking this very seriously. Following the January town board meeting, there are asked Bonnie and me to look into policies and practices that I think could add to their employee handbook. We have done so. We're looking into ways to address respectful behavior in the workplace, including committees, meetings, etc. As it exists, we feel that the employee handbook does not adequately address civil discourse or a procedure for lodging complaints or a disciplinary procedure should the need arise. So we're talking about that. We've done our research, I should say, and with the help of an ad hoc group of concerned community members, none of whom are involved in any of the complaints that were lodged. We researched a variety of best practices for towns and businesses, and discussed what would make our town a better place to live in. We're also coming up for a plan to move forward with recommendations for the handbook, which may or may not involve the formation of a formal committee. So that's the committee on respectful behavior. So that's all to be determined. But first, as Bart mentioned, we're required to investigate the comments and complaints that were made, and have hired an independent law firm to do this. And we hope to have the report by the April town board meeting. So in the meantime, we're looking into potential areas of policy improvement, including ethics, harassment, civility, and respectful conduct. And in closing, I'd just like to say that, we're all aware of how fortunate we are to live in the community where so many people care and want to be involved. We know that this situation is not unique to Anglin. Anybody that picks up a newspaper or listens to the news knows that this type of conduct is running rampant throughout the country. But we want to be a model for progressive movement. So we promise you that we will look into this and come up with a plan that satisfies the community.
Thank you. Anything you want to?
Just to reiterate, I agree with everything Amy said. The small group that we've put together come from all kinds of professional backgrounds and people who've dealt with communications and human resource work. And I think it's a really good brainstorming group so we can come up with, figure out what exactly we need to do to move ahead as far as policies. If we can incorporate that into the handbook, maybe that's one way to do it. We need to look at the ethics law again, maybe we need to do that. But I think, like she said, before we form an actual formal committee, maybe we could come up with some proposals of how to move forward. You know, like, do we want a committee or not? Would it come up with a mission statement, and who would it be, and how would they, who would someone report to? I mean, ultimately, all the decisions come to the town board as far as adopting anything or enforcement. I think there's going to be some work to do to figure out how to move forward. But I feel really confident that it's a good, clear-eyed group that is just looking forward from where we are. And now that we know the issues, I think we can all sort of together figure it out a little bit.
Good, thank you. Hugh, do you have any thoughts?
Amy and Bonnie got it about right. What are the facts? Is point number one. The investigator has no ties to the community, is objective, is professionally experienced, well qualified in both the law and in investigative techniques. So that ultimately will provide us with some lessons learned, as Amy and Bonnie have indicated. And even before we have a full report, I think we're already anticipating that there are some corrective actions that can be taken. So there is no wasted time, no wasted effort.
Good, thank you. Jim and Monica, do you guys have anything that you want to add? Oh, I'm sorry, Bonnie?
So I think if it's okay with the board, we know what we're doing, that we continue to meet with this group and see what we can come up with, just to do some preliminary work to bring to the board so we can take that and move ahead.
Sure.
Okay,
That's good.
so we'll keep going with that.
Yep, I think all of us are talking with our networks and soliciting ideas for how to deal with this and what the nature of the issues are, and who says what the facts really are. Getting to the bottom of some of these things is not as easy as you would think. But I think we've got a dialogue going, and I think for the first time in a very long time, something that was whispered about for very many years is in the open. We're talking about it, we're going to deal with it. It's no longer, hidden behind the bushes. And now that we're talking about it, I think we've got an extremely good chance of making this kind of behavior go away, because we know what we don't like, and we will be able to provide ways to avoid that kind of behavior or call it out as soon as it occurs. I think that's very important.
Exactly.
So I think we're moving in the right direction. Given this context, I think the idea of a committee is probably a good one, but I don't think we're ready to decide that. So I would like to propose, if everybody is comfortable, and table a resolution for the committee. It does outline a scope of work, which may or may not be what we want to eventually focus in on, either with a committee or the board itself. But I think having that as a starting point is probably okay. We can talk about it again next month and see where we are. Everybody okay with that idea? And the investigation, I think, we'll just let that play out. Hopefully, we will get some very good insights into what has been going on and how to deal with it. I think one of the most important parts of what the attorney is doing is asking everybody who talks to how to resolve this problem, in addition to describing what it is. So I think we'll get some good feedback from that. And similarly, the discussion on the membership for this committee will be something that we can deal with perhaps next month if we decide we want a committee. But I think one of the most important things, and we touched on this, is independence. We both touched on this, is not being from one side or another. And this is a many-sided issue. So we probably got 5 or 6 different elements here. But finding individuals who are independent, I think is most important. And I think we can probably do that. David has mentioned to me that he thinks we might have to go outside the town to find members of a committee like this, or request that the law firm play the role of an advisor, counselor in this regard. That's something for discussion next time if David is back. So any other thoughts on this issue before we move on? The complicated issue, and I think everybody's working very diligently to make this problem manageable and ready to go away, because it is unnecessary behavior. And while it's a perception problem, there are ways to manage perceptions. What's going on here?
Oh, my.
The flag over there.
Sorry about that. We're experimenting with it.
Was that accidental or disrespectful?
No, accident. If it was disrespectful, Phil was the one.
They said one more comment, and,
Yes.
I've been working on this, it just feels like, it feels so good that this has been out from under the rug now, and that we can talk about it, and, you know, it's sort of been hanging in the back in the dark for so long, and it just feels so refreshing to be able to
Yes.
face it and deal with it finally. For whatever you think, I think Jack Lindsay did us a good favor.
I think Jack did the town a great service by bringing this out. It'll take us to a better place. Okay, any other thoughts before we move on? Yes, ma'am.
Should I wait till the end? I had a few comments about,
No,
you know,
go ahead.
what
Why
we all
don't you
talking about right now.
stand up, identify
Sure.
yourself. And
Yeah, of course. My name's Hayden Gear. I live with my husband at 65 County Route 8 in Anchorndale. And I have a small retail store called Demitas at 32 Main Street in Millerton. And I know most of y'all don't know my name. We moved here 2.5 years ago. We just kind of live on that little house on the hill and keep to ourselves. But there's been something that's really been bothering me. And since you're talking about the, you know, issues I read about in the Columbia paper, I just wanted to mention a few things, if that's okay. I've been concerned about racist signs and symbols. Excuse me, I'm emotional about it. I've seen in the area. And I haven't gotten much of a response when I've reached out to people here or in Millerton. The symbols I reference, for example, are a Nazi flag that I saw at the Davis and Trotta law firm, the Confederate flag at the Paupers Farm, and all the F. Biden signs in between. I read about the Black Lives Matter sign being turned into a White Lives Matter sign near Copac, and once someone left a note in my business door, I have a Black Lives Matter sign on my door that says Black Lives Matter is today's KKK. There is a deep misunderstanding going on. And I really feel like there is a problem in this community with racism and white supremacy. And these are ugly words. And I'm sorry to be standing here as a newcomer saying them, but it's really upsetting to me. And then I read about in the paper how men are making some women feel unsafe. These are women that are working to better our community. And at first I was really kind of shocked. And then I realized I shouldn't be, because I mean, so much research has been done. Misogyny and racism overlap all the time. And I just want to, it sounds like you'll have a really good handle on the sexist issues and misogynistic issues, but I really want to make sure racism is folded into these discussions. Because I think it's really important that we not allow people to have dangerous beliefs and sit with those, like we don't see these things. I think we shouldn't allow people to be comfortable with them because silence emboldens people and things will get worse. And I know this is a homogeneous population in this area, but being in Millerton, tons of people come through from all over the world, literally. And then people in this community are going out and affecting, everybody all around also. So I embrace what y'all are doing. And I just ask that, we all lift each other up and not just focus on just the misogynistic part. And thank you. I really appreciate listening to me.
Thank you very much. Okay. Colleen, are you on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you tee up Colleen, activate her microphone, and Colleen, why don't you catch us up on where we are with the climate planning tool project? We're waiting for it. Okay.
Okay, hi, can you hear me? You can hear me okay?
Clear.
Okay, cool, great. Yeah, so we have a couple of things that we've done. The first thing is the CAC and the Climate Smart Community Task Force have come up with 3 recommendations, which are actually working to be 4 different actions that we think that the town could take to become more climate prepared. And I think Art, you probably circulated that to everyone. I'll go over just a really quick overview of that. And then, of course, I would want you guys to take a look at it and give me ask questions as needed. This is by no means an absolute document. It's just some recommendations. I've ordered them in order of difficulty and probably most likely cost. So the first thing was the floodplain management plan. That's a more intensive document, and it requires a lot more resources, and it's something that the town may want to think about if we want to update the floodplain ordinance, which is 22 years old. It was from 1990. And it might be something that we want to take a look at. We've done a great job of updating our zoning. Our stream buffers have increased. However, they exempt agricultural uses. And so that leaves a big part of our floodplains that really aren't subject to our zoning, where we have agriculture, whether it be crops or animals. That are in our floodplains, and we all know that agriculture is a major industry in our town. So there's a bunch of different resources there, and I wouldn't expect you to go into every one of them, but maybe from now until the next month, take a look at that. The second thing is a climate vulnerability assessment and a greenhouse gas inventory. There's a few different towns that have actually done this in Columbia County, and I've been talking to them, and they range in price between a free, if you can get a student to do it in one of the local colleges, to around $5,000 to do those. And what they do is inform a climate action plan if the town eventually wants to go ahead and do that. And then the third thing I have on the recommendations is just public outreach and engagement. And I foresee that the Climate Smart Task Force and the CAC could really be helpful in this, and actually making sure that the website is updated with the most information that it can for an outreach to the community. So I see that as something that the individual committees can actually really work on together. And so that's the first thing I was going to let you guys know about. And the second thing is the town of Ankrum should be bronze certified, knock on wood, by April for the Climate Smart program. We currently have 115 points out of the 120 points that we have documentation for. And I have already uploaded into the gateway for the program. And I'm working on an additional 7 points. So that should just put us over the bronze level with what we've already done. So that's pretty impressive. And Kelsey's working on that with us. And Susan and Kelsey and I are meeting next week. So I'm just going to have her go over what I've already uploaded just to double check it, make sure it works. And then hopefully in March, we'll be able to do the submission. There is a hard deadline, I believe, of April 28th, of which you need to have the documentation submitted to the Climate Smart program. And so we should be in good shape for that.
Sounds great. Do you think by next month you'll have estimated costs for these projects that we can review and approve?
Yeah, so I've actually reached out to a couple of people. I had a really good dialogue with Nan as well about different aspects of this. The best estimate I can get for items 2A and B is around $5,000. Item number 1 is, I have an estimate of $47,000 from the town of Shandaken, which is out in Ulster County. And looking at their plan, I'm not certain that we would need something quite as detailed as that. And I do know that the entirety of the cost was covered by funding from the DEP, because Shandaken is in the Catskill watershed program. So they were able to get funding. However, the person that I spoke with, or Kelsey and I kind of conversed with, said that, you know, there should be funding out there to help offset the cost of doing it, one of these management plans. If we choose to do that, we may not choose to do that, you know. So that's that. So I feel like that's a high estimate. And usually a flood management plan is like done by an outside consulting firm. You don't usually do a lot of that in-house. Whereas I think maybe some of the items 2A and B can be done a little bit more in-house. They've tried to make it a little bit easier for people that are not, you know, as familiar with like climate science and stuff like that. They try to make it as easy as possible so it can be doable by municipalities.
Okay, sounds great. Any questions, Colleen?
It looks like maybe there's some grant money out there, maybe.
Yeah, so yeah, there is. I know FEMA has grants that they do issue. They actually prefer pre-disaster planning rather than having to, you know, make up for, you know, any costs incurred for a disaster. So they like to see mitigation planning. They like to fund that. I know also the Army Corps of Engineers will help with any sort of floodplain. They tend to try and give assistance, technical assistance, if you're trying to develop a plan, which definitely would be helpful with our ordinance that we do need to update.
Yeah, good.
You think we would need a grant writer for that?
Can you repeat that, Bonnie? I'm sorry.
I think we would need a grant writer to do those.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to at least start to think about that if that's the route we want to go. Yeah, I know that the Army Corps is generally just a letter of intent. So you write them a letter saying what you want to do. It's probably less formal as something like the FEMA application. But the Army Corps, I think it's more of like a letter of intent to your local, of which ours is the Northeast Army Corps regional office. So.
Good, thank you, Colleen. Any questions?
Colleen, Hugh here. Just
Yes,
one
Hugh.
As much as the planning board is the designated administrator for the floodplain ordinance, old as it may be, are they at least aware of what you are doing and the proposals here?
So we haven't really discussed it at a planning board meeting yet. Although there are members on the planning board that are aware of what I've discussed based on their interaction on the CAC.
You know, I assume that. I was just curious whether there had been any contact with the PB. That can be in the future. I understand that. That's fine.
Right.
Okay, any questions?
No, thank you, Colleen.
Okay, Colleen, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Do take care.
Bye.
Just a quick update on the HVA program, HVAC program at the town hall. We have signed contracts with Genocchio and with McCourt for the electrical work and the prepackaged air source heat pumps. That's the good news. The not so good news is the lead times on the equipment for both the electrical and the air source heat pumps is looking like 30 weeks. So hopefully we'll get this done before winter, but no guarantees. Kids camp and the town pool, we're still in between knowing if we are going to open the camp and the pool or not. Monica and I have been talking about identifying potential camp directors, and that's kind of the first step in figuring out if we can open the camp is to find somebody who is really willing and able to run it for us. If we do not find somebody who can run the camp for us by, I would say, the middle to end of March, we will go to Plan B, which is to contract with neighboring towns, so our kids can go to their camp like we did in the last year or two. The key for the pool is going to be the availability of lifeguards, and David, Jim, and I and Monica are talking about gearing that up. But again, that's still an uncertainty. So kids camp and town pool for this year is still an unknown. Any questions or comments about that? Financial reports, you have December and January. December came in pretty much as we expected. It was about $500,000 better than planned overall. 200,000 in revenues, mostly the sales tax and the mortgage tax, and about $300,000 in cost overruns. 55 of it was the highway department, 250 was the general fund, because we didn't spend 100,000 in contingency money and we didn't operate the camp and the pool, which saved us about another $75,000, plus small savings in a lot of the other categories. The January numbers came in as expected, and we're in pretty good financial shape, very good financial shape, in fact. And as you probably all know, the Strategic Investments Committee is looking at ways to invest up to $500,000 on a strategic or on a series of strategic ventures that can benefit the town long term. So we'll hear more from them over the next 3 to 6 months. They're expecting to provide recommendations to the town board before the budget cycle starts in August. So we will have their input as part of the analysis.
I did see the minutes come down.
Yeah.
Meetings. So I'm just wondering how they're just gonna come up with a list of things that we can consider. Is
So
that-
they're trying to identify the list, and then they're gonna go into each one of the items in the list
Mhm.
and try to figure out how they would go about doing that, how much that would cost, and what the benefit would be,
Mhm.
so they can give us more than just a list, but a set of like the top 3 priorities with some financial implications. So I think that's where they're hoping to end up in the next 6 months.
I'm just thinking, talking about the kids camp, that I would love to see a pavilion. I mean, I know it's on the list, but I don't think it would cost very much money. I think it would be a great addition to the camp.
Well, when
Something that could be covered.
we built the playground, the youth commission built the playground, there was 3 phases to the playground. Playground was phase 1, Phase 2 was a pavilion off the back of the building, not necessarily just for camp or playground, but for multiple uses, to extend this room to be able to have outside accommodation. And then the third phase would have been moving the pool up eventually. So it was a 3-phase program, but the playground was a laborious task that pretty much zapped the youth commission for a while. And we never got to that next.
That was
next
in, that was in the plan.
It was in the loosely based plan of the youth commission. The playground itself, I think it cost us all total somewhere around 90 grand to put in.
That was in 2011.
Oh my gosh,
2010, 11, as I recall.
something like that. Yeah, it's at least 10 or 12 years old. You know, yes,
Yeah.
and during COVID, it was phenomenally used. We actually we were one of the only towns that did not close down our playground. We did bring in the biohazard flies a few times and had it sprayed down for precautionary purposes. But we do have parents groups who meet here with their toddlers and do lunch on the picnic table with music. There was actually kids out there today.
Yeah.
So, no, it's not something where you're gonna see 50 or 60 kids playing all at once, but you'll see small groups. I do know, it's more used by the littler children, 3, 4, 5, because they feel that it's not a largely used playground, so it's safer to bring their smaller kids and not to get run over by bigger kids. But yeah, it's used quite a bit. I mean, Art can tell you too, to go out there on any given day in the spring, summer, fall, and choose something.
The anchor working group have talked about the pavilion because, you know, like, okay, have community days, and, you know, there's so many things we could do for the community. Or camp if it's raining or whatever, it's like, if the camp's open now, they have to come in here, right? If it's raining.
They do, they come in here,
I've been here once, twice.
it's a little,
It's insane.
it's
If
a
they're
little-
up here.
Yeah, if they're up here, usually they're only here on Tuesdays, or if they know that there's inclement weather rolling in a certain day of the week, they will choose to have it up here. They are Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're down on the playground under the tents because they use the pool, which is the draw for the camp,
Right.
because the kids love the pool. One of the, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a long time, one of the drawbacks from putting the pavilion off the back was we do slope. And when we put the playground in, we had a bit of a problem with water.
It doesn't have to be there.
No, we own 28 acres, we could put it
Right.
anywhere. So,
But
but
anyway, just the thought.
Yeah, that's good. You know, you gotta share your ideas directly with that committee. You got their email, I think.
I think so,
Real
yeah.
rights, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, okay. Good, good. Quick comment on COVID test kits. We bought 50 more about a month ago, and then the county gave us 90 more. So we have a good supply of test kits. I put out an email maybe 10 days ago, and I was surprised by how little demand there has been for test kits. So if you hear of anybody who's looking for test kits, we have them here at Town Hall. Monica has some, I have some. We also have masks. We've got like 400 N95 masks. And I'll put out a note, I think probably in the next couple of days, that talks about the masks and the test kits. And we also have sanitizer. So I think I might add the sanitizer to the list, and maybe the trifecta will get people more interested in coming over to pick some up. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Hopefully the COVID curve is diminishing and our supplies are increasing, which is a good thing, but we'll never be too short.
Oh, by the way, I bought a bunch of test kits and then I realized they expire in June. So
Oh, we
you
should-
check the
yeah,
expiration
they
date.
do that.
on them.
they do that. We
Yeah,
should look at the expiration. I didn't think.
Yeah,
and they're supposed to be sending them from the federal government too.
those are the four, right?
Right, I haven't got them yet, but
I haven't gotten out of
that's
there.
saying, if they're stuck in your cold mailbox, they're not gonna be good. so.
I got a note from somebody, I think the county put out a note saying that if they freeze, they're no good.
Yeah,
I got a note from somebody who claimed to know that if they freeze just let them defrost and they're fine.
Okay.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
But there's different kinds too,
Yeah,
aren't there?
yeah.
So maybe it depends on,
Yeah, they do have an expiration date. so-
That's a good point.
well, I've been giving them out for people when they come to pay their taxes.
Might
It's
as
like
well.
trick or treating.
Yeah, I think it might as well because, you know, we're not gonna do it at some point.
Okay, just a couple of other items here. I just got notified today by the county that the summer youth employment program is kicking off, so I'll send out a note. This is for Franklin youngsters like in college or going to college. The county has jobs and every town can nominate one person for a summer job, so we'll give that up. We also got a contract from the sheriff's department for the enhanced enforcement patrols for 2022. I think we should probably talk about that next month to decide, how much we want and when we want to start. The basic economics, they assign deputies by shift. One shift costs about $400 to $500. And that's 1 day of sheriff's time. If we do 2 days a week, we're talking about $900 to $1,000 a week. Well, the question is, do you want to do 52 weeks, 26 weeks, 12 weeks? And when do you want those weeks? What time of year? Last year, we did it over the summer. This year, we're going to have some extra radar signs that we can put up because we've got 2 new signs and we've got the permits. So the radar signs might have a good impact on slowing people down coming through the intersections.
Hopefully we won't see them.
How many do we have altogether?
We've got the 2 new ones, the 2 on trailers. I have the one up in Ankerdale now. There's another one like the one in Ankerdale. It's down in the storage building that nobody's ever told me where they want it.
I think Ankerdale's doing something.
I do too.
Slow-
You should know.
Well, yeah, I think it's slowing down somewhat in that direction. I don't know, you guys notice it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it makes a big difference. 'cause
I've had
They're
somebody
still
tell me
going
that
fast.
they
Oh, yeah.
think one is needed going out of Ankerdale towards north.
Yeah.
I told them, when we get the trailers out, we'll park one in that direction.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to put up on county roads and on town roads, you can put these things basically wherever you want. The county is very cooperative in that regard. For state roads, we have 2 spots where
Yeah.
we can put them on poles. And I think as soon as the weather breaks, we ought to do that and see how that looks. And then decide when we want to do the enhancement patrols to supplement that. So,
Can we choose when we put them on the A2?
No,
Oh, so we,
we've got a permitted spot to put
oh,
them.
and where are they? On-
One's gonna go out here on the hill in Ankrum,
Okay,
the other one's going south into Ankerdale, where we had the trailer park for a while,
Yeah.
by Jameson's drive.
so we're getting them on both ends of that corner,
that's good.
because they just, I know, I'm still trying to replace one car that tools in front of my house.
so again, I will remind you to come prepared to have thought about where and when we want these enhancement patrols. I think we'll probably start them in April or May,
For everyone.
or if we want them, correct, yeah. Okay. That's basically all I've got for now. Let me open it up for board member comments. David is not here. Hugh, you have anything?
Just to let everybody know that since we passed local law number 1 of 2022 last month, with the latest package of zoning amendments, I've coordinated with Nan and with Jay Hoffman and through him to the planning board and such about numbers of copies and preferred format, and we will be having all of that reprinted as a fully incorporated document that includes solar law. And I expect to have that done within the next 3 weeks or so.
Oh, that's great. All together. Final.
All together.
Yes. Good, thank you, Hugh. Amy, anything?
No, just I'm continuing to work with the CAC, taking courses on forestry and invasive species, and really enjoying that. Also, I mentioned at the last town board meeting that John and I were trying to make an appointment with the Sharon Housing Authority to just get some information on that and how they got approval and funding for their very successful affordable housing complex. But somehow that got put on the back burner. And
We haven't responded.
yeah,
Right.
they did, they said they'd be willing to talk, and then we went to set up an appointment. And
Right.
yeah, so we'll get back on that.
Okay, very good, thank you. Mike,
So piggybacking on that, I had some conversation with Paul Ricciardi and Dave Hall, who are kind of the people who are, the three of us really are working on this housing, affordable housing issue. And I think what we've decided is we're gonna try to reconfigure the committee, and maybe it's kind of fallen under the Economic Development Committee, which it's not really part of. So we're gonna talk about maybe renaming the committee or combining the, reconfiguring and trying to get some more people working on it, because it's really been he and I doing everything. And I've made a bunch of the meetings, but I can't make them all. And we just need a little bit more, some more worker bees to
reinvigorate. the
really
committee.
move forward with it, because there's things we can do, there's monies out there that maybe we can tap into, but he and I are trying to reconnect. We're still trying to find outreach to younger people with the housing survey. And Dave is working on some people to reach out to, and so is Paul. So that's still kind of ongoing, but I really hope to get a little bit more going, because it's such a huge problem that every town has the same problem, and that's all we talk about. Crossroads is just closed because they can't ever find help.
Wow.
Completely closed. And restaurants are, not open as much as they'd like to be, and, a lot of industries are really being affected. And, our economy is really gonna suffer. They are suffering. And as David said, the other day, the young people are just not here. They can't find anywhere to live, so. At any rate, I'm hoping we can connect with the sheriff people and maybe get, reconfigure this committee and really get something moving. It's complicated.
It is.
And, we don't, a lot of towns say old buildings and rehab. I mean, that available, what other towns do, or multiple family dwellings. I reached out again to Habitat a couple of weeks ago, and swears that are in process and that it's happening.
In Anchorville.
Yeah. And one, he said one family's in the mortgage process and the other one's starting, but that's what he said last time. And so I don't know, it's just someday we'll see lights on, but I don't know when.
Yeah.
I'll know, my dog will work. I'll know, if my dog.
Have you seen any activity there?
There has been like a little, what is that little Honda car that's like a boxy set kind of vehicle, an SUV type thing. I
Oh,
have
yeah.
noticed, I don't know if that's somebody working there
Oh,
or if it's one of the families, and they're starting to get set up and they're doing some of their work that they have to keep
yeah,
themselves
yeah,
up. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I have noticed some activity on one side, but not on the side that they painted. So one side got the porch and things painted,
Oh,
but that's not the side that has somebody going in and out, so I don't know.
Okay,
you can hope.
thank you, Bonnie.
Art, excuse me, there's someone raising their hand. Do you want us to let them in? Or we?
Yes, please. Perfect timing. Thank you.
Let's see if we can get it on you.
Is it Colleen again?
No, it's
Mike Citron, you understand?
Oh, Mike Citron.
Hi,
If it's Mike Citron, don't let him in.
I would just like to report that the Strategic Investment Committee is meeting on March 10th and is currently exploring 5 distinct projects, which may get to be more or less, And hopefully we would have something to say, if not at the next meeting, the meeting after.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have a hand up?
Not that we see.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do we get an update on when we're gonna get the larger monitor for
We can ask the tech committee.
tech committee?
We're not really here. No. We hope Saturday morning monitor that we have been wanting to get has been out of stock.
Yeah.
It's actually about $1,200 at Costco for a 75-inch monitor. I'm gonna get it. So we were hoping that after the Super Bowl, people would start to return TVs, which they actually do. So, yeah, we hope the next town board meeting we should be here.
Oh, great.
Can I ask a question? Once we put that up, where are we gonna, we have to decide where to put Jerry.
But that's up to you guys.
So we need to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, we'll put Jerry in a place of honor. But, you know, in here, he's not seen as frequently as he would be seen in the hallway.
Correct.
Outside your office or, you know, so we'll find a place for him when he'll be more visible.
Yeah.
For those of you,
Art, somebody thought that was you.
when I was younger, huh?
Kind of similar hair.
And Jerry Simons was the town supervisor for 25 years,
I think he, maybe longer
maybe
than
longer.
that. He
and
was
he
a
was-
councilman before that, wasn't he?
I believe so.
And he was the county chair of the board of supervisors for 20 years.
Yeah.
He had a major impact on town and county government during his tenure. And before his town service, I guess he worked at the mill, right?
He worked at the mill. He was a big proponent of the Ingram Youth Commission. He
Yeah.
helped with the building of the pool. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did a
Very-
lot.
Very important person in our town.
Mhm.
Good.
Gave out free cheese.
Yeah,
I like that.
Oh, we've been busy the last month. We had 13 separate days in the month of January when we were out doing snow or ice operations, and 8 so far in February. The recent ice storm was a doozy. We used approximately 400 tons of sand and salt in one storm alone. That's about half of what our current salt shed holds. So I ran out of salt during the storm.
I can't,
Because
I'm not surprised.
and it hampered our ability to get the roads cleaned up that weekend. So, is what it is. I'll have more on that in a little bit. We continue to check over the trucks and make repairs where needed, wash them up. The weather allows, we got some potholes all over, and some of the roads are taking a beating this winter. The dirt roads, people are gonna get, on a dirt road, are going to get the true dirt road experience this spring and spring. The mud's gonna be terrible. We had to put so much salt on the numerous ice storms we had to clean them up, and ice and dirt or salt, excuse me, dirt roads don't mix well. We're gonna have mud. We have the county rabies clinic is gonna happen again this year. It's after a 2-year hiatus. It's gonna be March 5th from 9 to 11.
Well, we need an official notification of that, or?
Yeah, I would
I
definitely
got
speak with
it.
the county. Yeah, usually I get a list of all of them. for the
It's
year.
new people doing it. Maggie McBroom's.
Could you email me whatever they sent you, so I can?
They just asked me if we were free for the date, and I told them
Oh, what's the date again?
March 5th.
Okay,
From 9 to 11. They moved the time. It used to be 10 to 12.
this
It's
is
9
cats
to
and
11.
dogs.
9 is cats and 10 to 11 is dogs.
And just bring your pet, and it's a free rabies clinic.
So it's a rabies shot.
Yep.
Yeah, run by Columbia County.
Columbia County Health Department.
Okay,
They may be the ones to call to get a press release.
yeah, good idea. I'll call Jack and get something.
And we spoke last month. I solicited bids for a pickup. And we got one back. Monica and I opened it yesterday. It was from Ruby Automotive for a Ram 3500. And it came in for $51,722.50.
And what did you expect it to be under the state bids?
They're usually about $8,000 to $10,000 discount when they're available under state bid. They're just not, none of the companies are doing municipal pricing. And they have no idea when they might start it up again.
Is this vehicle available now?
If we ordered it, and we could have it in 4 months.
It's brand new.
Yes,
Brand new, it's gonna replace what?
the old red pickup, finally.
So what do you expect we'll be able to get for that?
I'm thinking probably in the $500 to $7,500 range.
The vehicles are very scarce.
Yeah. It may be more, maybe more, you know, we just watched it up today, as a matter of fact.
Well, the maintenance is, you get what, about a 4-year maintenance contract on a vehicle like this?
On the
On the new one.
warranty? On the new one?
Yeah.
It's got a 3-year bumper to bumper, and I think he said 100,000 mile powertrain.
Okay.
warranty.
Just to put it in perspective, Jim came under budget 55,000 last year, so he's got the money in the fund balance to cover the whole 40 or 51. So I guess the question that you're asking is, does the town board choose to agree to this?
Gold prices are going up unpredictably, you know, it's crazy.
Any thoughts?
Want to see the bid?
I have it here if you want to.
Is that the bid or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I gave you a copy on.
I'm good. So,
Yeah, just now.
I don't know.
I'll move
We advertised.
to authorize the highway department to procure vehicle as described here at a cost not to exceed 53,000 for this tax, or this is total, or,
That's the total of it.
well, on a cost not to exceed 52,000.
and there's no tax on this?
No.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the pickup for 52,000. Any questions or comments? For a second? Second. Fine, second, thank you. Let's do a roll call vote on it.
Councilman Thomas.
Yes.
Councilman Bowles.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you very much.
How old is that red chip?
It's a 2008.
Wow. So it's like
It's
14 years.
160 some thousand on it, I believe. It's very rusty, getting very rusty underneath. Yeah. The old blue in it, the blue half ton that I drove up until before we got this one actually has 178,000 miles on it. But that's gonna get relegated down to the lawnmower trailer duty, so it won't be seen a lot of use. So it should last for a while.
Okay.
So this one, the red one's rustier.
Yes, you know, it's had a snow plow on it and it's been around.
Sand and salt.
Yeah, it's hard.
Now, Jim, does this new pickup come with a plow or do you have to?
No, we're gonna have to put a plow on it. But
So you're gonna
I
have.
think that'll be probably somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000. Put that on. We'll get that. That'll come out of my budget.
That'll come out of your budget. All right, so you don't need us to approve that?
Well, I will when I go to do
Okay.
it.
All right, understood. Okay.
I'm not
anything else?
done
Right.
yet. I spoke about our running out of salt, and I'd like the town board to consider getting on the capital plan, maybe putting up a new salt shed, one a little larger. There I can put my whole year's supply of stuff in, of mixed stuff, because that ice storm, it more than half emptied the one we currently have. And we put it up, and the town had nothing when we did that. We did, you know, right after we built the garage, we were looking, we had nothing, like I say, and we were looking to have something. We did that relatively inexpensive. But it's just not big enough for, and, you know, the town is in pretty good financial position right now. It might be a good time to consider doing that. We could use the old one, the current one, that would nicely hold our years of salt usage in that, and we could put the mixed stuff in the new facility we built.
Have you gotten any estimates on what? this
I
would
do, I contacted one company, he gave me the ballpark figure of around 200,000.
cost? Which company was that?
It is Hybrid Building Solutions. It's one of them with the concrete walls with like a membrane thing on top, tank. You see a lot of them around. Turn to the state uses them.
There's one on 22.
I think there's one down on 22. The town of Conic has one. They just put up a couple of years ago. There's more and more of them around all the time.
So is this something you put out for bid?
This is available under Sourcewell pricing.
Oh, it is.
Yes,
Okay, that's state bid.
well, state or it's a cooperative bidding thing. Yeah. It's available to that. I talked to a guy from about a week ago, and he was gonna get back to me a specific price, you know, sized it, you know, I told him how much I wanted to go over, stuff, 2,000 tons, I figure on average, that's like a year of sand and salt mix. And he said we need a 50 by 80 structure with all of the 9-foot concrete walls. They pour a foundation, they bring the walls in, much like we did when we did down there with the old one. You know, they brought the panels in and set them in place, and they left the structure on top of the frame and the fabric.
And what's your time frame for this?
Well, whenever you guys think that we can do it, you know. You know,
Yeah. We've got the backhoe one next year.
yeah. You know, I like to get it on the capital plan at least, you know, get it on the,
Somewhere down the road.
yeah.
Well, I think we've got a plow truck that we're paying off at like 40 some odd thousand a year. I mean, can you wait 2 or 3 years for this, or are you thinking about waiting, you know, trying to get it in before next year?
Well, Ideal world, yeah, would be next winter, but you know, we can wait.
Okay.
We can wait,
And there's nothing wrong with this one except it's too small.
yes. You know, we did it in the old milk factory down there, you know, we saved the old historic structure and made use of it. And we did it rather economically, you know, I remember I came up with this idea of putting these concrete panels inside it, because the architect wanted to basically, you
I
know,
remember.
ruin the historical aesthetics of the thing, and completely change it with braces on the outside all over the place. And put these inside, I think we did it for 14 or 15,000, but you know, we spent a lot more money on that, putting roof on the building and siding and stuff, but that's how much it.
Once you decided, once the board has approved this, how long will it take to get it in?
I don't know.
Don't you find out, because that'll give us a sense of how soon we need to make a decision if we want it for next winter.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple other companies I tried to call yesterday, but none of them answered the phone.
Okay, good.
This one I did talk to Dick, so that's great.
What else?
That's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Jim?
Thank you.
Did a good job on that ice storm.
Thank you.
I couldn't-
It was a long day. That was a long day.
I don't know how you're gonna get that up. Gross.
I had brought the guys in at midnight that night, and we were there till 6, 7 o'clock that night. And then the next, came in the next day. I had to get a good night's sleep. I said, we were out of salt, so I said, we'll wait. The sun's supposed to come out tomorrow. We'll let the sun help us. And we got in decent shape on Saturday. The dirt roads, I just sent Brian out with road grader, just shave the stuff off from it. And that's what we did. The rest of us were in the trucks all day.
Are there any accidents in town as a result of the ice?
There was one on Sunday morning, but I heard that was kind of an inebriated driver. So take that with a grain of salt. But other than that, the stuff wasn't that bad to drive on after the sleet came. You know, during Friday, you know, yeah, Saturday afternoon it got touchy in spots, but during the storm, it wasn't that bad to drive on. It was just this strange stuff. That sleet, the snow plows would not touch it.
Really?
They would just stay on top and wouldn't. Terrible stuff.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Monica?
I printed out my collection summary so you all can know what I've collected so far in taxes being our past the January 31st. So I'm at 81% total collection, so I feel fairly good. They'll still come in during February, March. I collected a total of about 2.5 million. I paid the town, I paid the highway, I paid the fire department, the light district, the library, and I sent, I think, about $1.2 million or $1.3 million to the town. So,
And it goes out.
oh, those, yes, and it's been fairly decent this year. I've only had 2 checks come back that wouldn't clear. My main nemesis is the postal service. And then ag exemptions and senior exemptions are coming in a flush right now. Renee was very busy today. I'm sure that I was very busy on Saturday. So that was, we got another battle on that.
Any questions for Monica? There's one resolution that was a very late resolution that I added, which is to approve our building inspector, code enforcement officer, going to code enforcement officer conference training in Lake Placid the end of this month. Cost not to exceed $1,200. This is a program he goes to every year, and he likes it because it only takes him out of the office for one day, for Wednesday. The program goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but he only loses one workday. So he figures that's a pretty good return on time. So could I get a motion to approve this resolution to allow the code enforcement officer to go to this conference?
I'll move.
Thank you, Hughes, or second?
Second.
Thank you, Andy. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Can I just know, I haven't gotten my packet yet because I think they've been waiting to see what happens with COVID.
Yep.
But my conference, I don't have numbers yet, so we don't have to prove anything tonight, but my conference is gonna be April 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th.
We can approve that next one.
And yeah, I should have, they said that the packet is supposed to come out in the next couple of weeks. Mine's in Albany, it doesn't.
Good. And Jim, your conference is in June? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're at, I would permission to go to that.
Yeah, we'll approve that as soon as you get the numbers together. We don't need to do that today.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got some budget adjustments. One that I did not get a chance to send around to you because I only found out about it myself like in the last hour. And that's the cemetery payment that we make to, in this case, it's Boyce Home Care takes care of the cemetery for us. They have not requested money for 3 years. So this year they requested the last 2 years plus this year. We have 2 years, we have 1 year budgeted at $2,000. So they need to move another $4,000 from fund balance, which is there because they didn't ask for this last year, the year before. So we have a $4,000 cemetery amount, and we have a $5,000 spreader for Jim's pickup, which we, I think, approved last time, and Jim put it on, and that's a $5,000.
That's the sander.
Yes,
That was only
4,600.
Things rounded up.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna circulate these around, you can sign them, those copies of both, and bring them back to me, or one to Monica and one to me.
One to me, one to you.
Yes, okay. Now. Could I get a motion to approve the warrant and pay the bills?
You can get an approval for the budget adjustments.
Sorry?
We didn't do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could I get a, thank you, Monica. Can I get a motion to approve the budget adjustments? Thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. And now a motion to approve the warrants and pay the bills.
Move.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you very much. Yeah. it's gotta be down to you. Okay, is there anybody on Zoom with a hand up? No. No. Anybody on the town board or in the audience have any last words or comments? Nope. Then Can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Move in second. Thank you. All in favor? We are adjourned at 8:05.
Stop the crash.
They did it.
Well,